Dignity. There you go. When we look at education, we are building lecture halls for our universities. Look at how our students, the delay that it's terrible if you see how the students were. We created university centers everywhere, but no lecture halls.
They wander around like that in the cities.
But today, we are building amphitheaters everywhere to give them a bit of dignity. Soon, it will be university residences because they don't even know where to stay. Some sleep on the ground in universities. We need to help them find housing. University restaurants, we need to help them be able to eat. Is it good or not? For school
organization, you have been accused of suppressing the independent press and civil society. Is there a place for human rights in Burkina Faso?
Are there human rights in Burkina? What do they call human rights? But I don't know what they think. You know, no one is going to come here to fund people, indoctrinate them to destroy our countries.
Mr. President, what is the vision of your country?
The overall vision of Burkina.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Burkina Faso is going through a pivotal stage in its history marked by the war against terrorism, the assertion of its political and economic sovereignty, the rebuilding of the state, and actions for endogenous development. 1 year after the proclamation of the Popular Progressive Revolution, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Faso, President of the AES Confederation, grants an interview to the national and international press. The implementation of the structural projects of the Progressive Popular Revolution, the guidance of the destiny of the peoples of the AES, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré's perspective on Africa and the world are the main topics that will mark this interview. Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
Thank you for receiving us here at the Presidential Palace in Kuluba in Ouagadougou for this interview, which once again demonstrates the interest you have in the press, communication, and of course the concerns of the Burkinabe, the peoples of the AES, and the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, the format of this interview offers 2 segments. The head of state will first speak with 3 journalists about national and confederal current events. After this first round, 3 other journalists will join to discuss concerns related to African and international news. Mr. President, the first group is already in place. Asa Odi Kama Anasandate. It is composed of Nadej Yameogo from Citoyen Editions, Salif Sanogo from AES Television, now renamed Tafuk TV, and Lassina Yao from Greenzenger Studio, a German media outlet. So they will discuss with you, Mr. President, 4 topics, namely defense and security, politics and society, economy and development, and of course, confederal news. Good evening, dear colleagues. So let's start with the defense and security section. So ladies first, we start with you, Nadej Yameogo.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening.
So, Your Excellency, what assessment can you make in terms of reclaiming the national territory?
In terms of reconquest, today we can say that the initiative is ours. That is the most important aspect. For several years, since the beginning of this war, we have been passive, and the enemy was setting the pace of the maneuver. And the change, therefore, the shift, the fact that we have regained the initiative of the maneuver is very important. And to be able to take the initiative of the maneuver, it required a lot of effort in terms of recruitment, equipment, but especially training. Because one thing is also very important. Today, no one knows our army. If I may say so, internationally, no one controls our army. We have left behind the framework of being trained by others, having the program dictated by others, the tactics by others. Today, everything is endogenous. So it is Burkinabe who designed the program based on field experience feedback, who trained the men, which allows us to achieve feats. And as I speak to you, our units have conquered many localities, particularly going north of Djibu, The territory, these localities that have been lost for perhaps nearly 10 years, such as Barabule and far beyond up to Petekoli. Our units have reconquered after fierce battles, but they are there, they are established. In the east as well, we have advanced towards the Benin border. Notably, crossroads towns like Nadiabo and others have been recaptured and are under control. And so we are progressing from victory to victory.
We can say, Mr. President, that there is a rise in the power of the army. Many resources have been acquired and training is being conducted. Yet we still notice that there are many killings and the number of internally displaced persons is increasing. What explains this situation?
The number of IDPs is rather decreasing. The figures are quite clear. We are in the process of resettling. As I mentioned, there are many localities that are being reclaimed. A few years ago, we had nearly 2 million internally displaced persons. Today, we have well under 1 million. And by May or June, there will be very few internally displaced persons because these areas, indeed, when you take I was just talking about Barabule, Petekoli, the areas of Tulfe, Pubi, Mengao, Namsiga, and all those who know the north of Burkina, all that has been reconquered between November and today. So you can imagine all these people who have to resettle and everything. So the number of internally displaced persons will inevitably decrease. Then the killings often, the enemy, as we said, when they are losing momentum, they often resort to acts of devastation. So what can he do? It's finding civilian populations, shooting at them quickly, disappearing. And very often they have this cowardice of even filming what they do as acts against unarmed people and all. And there you go. It's a bit, they actually want to create shock among the population. It's a war and they use guerrilla tactics. We do counter-guerrilla. But the most important thing, as I said, is that we have adapted and we are evolving because it's not just the equipment that makes the war. You may pay for the necessary technological equipment, but human resources come first. And human resources need to be trained. Certainly, militarily, and you see that many African countries spend time getting trained by Western countries and so on. So our philosophy is as follows. Are these people who come to train us sent by God, perhaps, who sent angels to train them in tactics? But why can't the black person perhaps tell themselves that they too can develop tactics? But look at all the African states, Western states have to come and train them. We have put an end to that. We train ourselves in the art of war based on our experiences. And that shapes the mindset of human resources. And it's from there that you can create combativeness, resilience, resistance, and that is very important. So the equipment, certainly, but also the human resources that need to be valued. And it's all this combined today that gives us this success.
Excellency, you have elevated the Brigade of Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland to the rank of an army. What can this bring to the fight against terrorism?
So we have therefore established it as an army because that's what it deserved. We are reorganizing. If you notice, by establishing it as an army, the texts have evolved a bit as well. There are many areas that were, if I may say, in 2022, red zones, where we created, at the end of 2022, many VDP and all that. But today, after 3 years, 4 years, many areas have become completely green zones. For 2 years, 3 years, there are areas where we have never heard a single gunshot. We have managed to create this security cordon around. So it was necessary to reorganize the volunteers for the defense of the homeland so that those in these green zones, if I may say, can remobilize to go beyond, towards the borders of the region or the borders of the country. And so this creates a group of national VDPs and regional VDPs and leaves very few communal VDPs to continue maintaining the situation of stability. So this change leads to a reorganization. So they are now organized into operational groups at the regional level. So it ranks as an army. That's why we have established it as an army and also given it its autonomy, an entire autonomy in the sphere of operation, but especially in maneuver because they have specific missions assigned to them within the overall mission of the different armies. That's why it was elevated to the rank of an army.
If you allow me, Mr. President, you talk about training men, which is very important. You also spoke about the elevation, for example, of the VDP to armed forces. Last December in Bamako, during your visit, you mentioned a black winter, a black albino. Can we know if this winter has already passed, if this albino has passed without us knowing, or what it is concretely about?
the black albino, it concerns Burkina, he will come. That is I can say it's good news that will come for the good of our homeland. That's what I see, and that it's coming. But as for the black winter, I think the wind has started to blow. The more aware will understand. This winter, we cannot avoid it if we continue to behave like this in Africa. Those who can quickly join to protect ourselves, kill the wolves to use their skins for protection, cut dead wood to make fire or build hills to stop the wind. Those who can understand it will understand, but winter is already here. The wind has started to blow. And if we continue with this behavior, we heads of state, nothing can stop it.
So, Your Excellency, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of progress has been made on the ground in terms of reclaiming the territory. But when will terrorism end in Burkina?
I can say that the pace at which we are currently moving since November, I can assure you that at this pace, we are not too far, because the most important thing for us was to completely change the approach, to avoid doing what we had been used to doing for 8 years, 10 years. Because these specific operations, these same types of bases and all, we have developed something else, another tool. And when we tested it, it is effective, which allows us to go into areas that were like sanctuary zones. I like to talk about Owadi Jibo. You see that this area was like their territory. No one could venture there and all. But today, our units have broken through and settled. And guess what? There are areas, when they arrived, they found actual training camps. Well built, better built. You will find obstacle courses better constructed than in our training centers. Imagine they settled in, they imported all the iron, cement, and everything needed to build training bases that we were still surprised. It means they felt they were on their own territory. But we broke through, we are there. These territories are lost because it was under their control for more than 10 years. The area is completely isolated. No one besides the army, had never settled there. And so we continue up to the limits of our borders. And that's what I say, whether it's in the north or the east, everywhere, we are moving back. And once they have no maneuvering ground, no sanctuary, it becomes difficult. But now there is an important phase that must come in a few months to completely close all the gaps, to prevent infiltrations. Because often that's it. We can settle, but they can find a way to infiltrate, either by placing IDs or infiltrating in small pairs, coming to kill from behind, thus creating these emotional events and all. But we will close all the gaps. We will take the necessary measures, but it will end.
Excellency, it has been decided to grant exceptional promotions for soldiers, gendarmes, and police officers under certain conditions. Won't this cause some discontent within the ranks?
No creaking sounds. There is no decision in this world that can achieve unanimity overnight. If you lead an organization, no matter how small, understand that it's rare to have a unanimous decision. So it's certain that some people may be frustrated or something. Secondly, human beings are what they are. Not everyone ever sees things in the same way, because we don't have the same abilities to understand things, the same ability to analyze and all. That's part of it. But one thing is certain, we are at war. If there are people who stand out for their ability to go beyond their mission, it goes without saying that we reward them. That didn't exist in the army. We have modified the statutes and everything, and we have introduced that. And so we ask the different unit commanders who are on the ground with their men. There are men who perform acts of bravery, exceptional acts that go beyond their mission, and justify it with reports. And so the hierarchy has a commission that sits, reviews, and decides who they are. For example, we take a soldier who, during a battle, his job is not to lead a group or something, because it's the sergeant who can have a combat group who leads it and everything. But you will find soldiers who, due to circumstances, ended up taking control of a group fight and get their unit out of such a complicated situation, this kind of soldier should be rewarded because he has the tactical ability to be a sergeant. So those are the ones that unit commanders are supposed to identify, give the names. The command will then read the reports, analyze everything. And it goes without saying that they should be given the rank of sergeant to motivate them, because there are other people too, perhaps, who want to do more, but who are also waiting to see the motivation behind it. It motivates, rather. It encourages those who hesitate, who don't want to commit, to surpass themselves. That's what we ask for. And in war, it's very, very, very important. When a fighter surpasses themselves, it changes the course of the war. You see, when there is pressure, it only takes one person to decide to maintain a certain fire or to make a certain maneuver, and it completely shifts the enemy's maneuver. And that is very important. So I find that instead of frustration, it encourages and motivates.
Since we are talking about national defense, Mr. President, not long ago, an army from a neighboring country made an incursion into Burkinabe territory to plant its flag, but very quickly the Burkinabe army reacted to restore the national flag. What is your analysis of this situation?
Oh, no. No, not even. The Burkinabe army didn't need to go plant the flag. As soon as they did, the people took down the flag and put back the Burkinabe flag. So even before the units arrived on the ground, the units went to gather the people, to preach to the people not to give in to provocation. We observed them, and as I said, these are behaviors that fit within the framework of the Black Winter. There are people who always behave like Negroes. I wouldn't even say house Negroes, real Negroes. So when their master tells them, do this, they can only do that. It's like a curse. They cannot go beyond that. Look at some of them. They have given their entire country to those people. They are sitting, they no longer have anything under their control today. But when they are pushed to go to war, they are ready and they provoke. I have always told people, we are already at war, so we are not afraid of war. But if someone pushes us to the limit, for our homeland, there's nothing to be done. We will go to war. And when it starts, no one knows how it will end. But an army that is not at war, if it can avoid going to war, it's better. But if someone looks for us, they will find us. That's what I can say about this situation. We are watching, for those who understand.
Excellency, precisely, we are at the end of this first part dedicated to defense and security. If you allow, we will now move on to the political and social part of this interview. We start with you, Mr. Sanonro, to begin this section.
Mr. President, it has been 1 year since the Progressive Patriotic Revolution began. So 1 year later, what is the assessment we can draw from it? Are you satisfied, or are there still things to correct?
If you noticed, in fact, since the 30th of September, it's a revolution. But we waited a while to proclaim it on the 1st of April. And when we proclaimed it, we didn't release a specific text, a manifesto or anything, nothing about the ideology. We observed for another year. The manifesto will be available for the people to say a bit of the ideology behind the main themes. But already it was to observe. As I said, the Burkinabe people are intrinsically revolutionary. In term, as soon as it was proclaimed, and yet there were many initiatives, many people, whether they are intellectuals or not, because when we say intellectual, it is not necessarily those who went to school. You see, it's not those who speak French. Intellectuals are in all social strata. Whether you go to the big Ruruko market or anywhere else, you will find intellectuals, because an intellectual is first and foremost intelligent. It is someone who is capable of understanding what we want to do. They took many initiatives to explain the behavior needed during the revolution, to explain what to do during the revolution. And I observed that everywhere, people held conferences, people educated, people trained at the initiative of the youth. That is very important. And that's what I wanted to see. And from now on, from this manifesto, and you see that we are gradually putting in place, we had created the Institute of Black Peoples, but it hadn't gained momentum. They will all participate in the formation of the Burkinabe revolutionary elite. And the revolutionary elite we really want to form, those we want to reach, are the youngest. And already, hats off to the teachers and all. As soon as it was proclaimed, look at several schools. Many things changed in terms of mentality. Teachers took initiatives, started to train people in the revolutionary spirit, patriotism, everything that goes with the revolution. I really appreciated it. The teachers took the initiative. From school, even before we told people to gradually transform schools into production, to redo school gardens, to allow children to produce. In fact, they are bringing children back to the fundamentals of the Burkinabe. That's what I wanted to see. Is that intrinsic revolutionary spirit still there? And now is the time to revive it. So really, we are satisfied, and it's up to us to do the rest of the work, to educate people. Because as it's a progressive revolution, the context has changed. It's a bit different from the democratic revolution. The context has changed a lot. The world has evolved. And the progressive revolution must adapt to the current world. And this transformation is therefore being put in order.
Excellency, the Charter of the Revolution was recently adopted by the People's Legislative Assembly. So this charter gives you the possibility to run in almost all elections. Some see this as a kind of pathway to lifelong power. What do you say to that?
First, I don't even know why people brought up the election question. No, even the old charter, that was already included in it. It's not there, it's not Chagendekuri. It's not there, it's not in the last vote that we included the election questions. No, that's old. People brought that back with a certain mindset. No, we are not even talking about elections first. We have challenges. We need to address these challenges. We remain on our watchword. So we will not bend a little. Isn't that people need to forget about the question of democracy? In that is a task. We must tell them the truth. Democracy is not for us. The democracy, as those people show us, it doesn't interest us. We don't even want that. Normally, if you talk about democracy to an African, if someone comes like that and talks to you about democracy, you should run away. Democracy kills. Is that what we want? Democracy. Look at Libya. It's an example next to us. They lived in peace, didn't they? They lived in peace. Water was free. There were so many free things. When people got married, they already had social benefits and everything. But today, some Libyans walk around with jerry cans looking for water everywhere. Look at the misery there is. How many hundreds of thousands of children have died? Is this democracy? Everywhere they want to establish democracy in the world, it's in blood. May God spare us from this democracy. We have our own model. We are not even trying to resemble anyone. We came to completely change the way of functioning, but especially the mentalities, so that people open their eyes, see the world, and never fall into those pitfalls again. People are here. Democracy is slavery.
There is no democracy in this world. They do it when they want, and to establish it, they kill.
Democracy that kills. We do not want democracy. May God keep us from that democracy. We are focused on our reconquest, on our rebuilding, and on the revolution.
It is the only way to develop.
Excellency, the customary and traditional authority has been rehabilitated. This reflects your vision for peace and social cohesion. What is expected from this social entity?
Yes, I have often said it. In fact, the customary leadership, it's the place for me again to thank them, to congratulate them for this mindset, because it's not easy. I often say, even we who are young, we were born into a system. And to change the mentality of someone who was born into a system, it's very difficult. Actually, fact, the customary chieftaincy, the politicians managed to involve them. And as I said, the truth must be told. Politics in Africa, at least what we experienced in Burkina, is a real politician, someone who embodies all the vices, a liar, a flatterer, someone who never knows, who knows how to speak well, a smooth talker. He shifts problems. That's politics. And if you involve the traditional chieftaincy in that, what will its value be? But today, we have decided to completely detach them from the political mindset, to bring them back to their role. Because a traditional chief, in terms of justice, you have seen the Faso Bukauri law that we had adopted. The traditional chieftaincy is the center of this law. In our society, not everything goes before the modern judge. Actually, we have endogenous mechanisms, for example, to resolve our social issues, whether it's minor thefts or I don't know what, up to murder. It's resolved in our societies. We want to restore the customary chieftaincy to that role. And once you manage to establish, that is, create a space of justice within your community, you create social cohesion, you create mutual aid, solidarity, you create love among your subjects, and that is what we ask for. So there are many things expected of them. They are to be the ones who pass on our endogenous values to the youth and show our young people how the Burkinabe of the past lived. Until today, thank God, we have been able to preserve in almost all communities an ancient architecture of how our societies functioned. And so it is up to the traditional leaders to revive this architecture, to implement it, and to help modernism make the connection. So Yutako is a very complex role that we are entrusting to them, but I am confident with the mindset that has already developed around the discussions on this law, that they will be able to succeed in the mission.
So you entrust a complex role to the traditional chieftaincy, and meanwhile there is a law that has also been adopted regarding religious freedoms as such, and I believe this law does cause quite a bit of friction, and often there are misunderstandings around it.
Oh, really? But a law that is not even debated in the assembly that causes discontent? Have people read? When there is a law, you have those who talk about the law read the law first. Have they understood the law? The assembly will soon convene the religious federations to discuss the law. And so these are the federations, these are the representatives, these are the leaders of the different religions. That has not been done yet. It has not been debated yet. So many people do not even know the content of the law. So, as I said, there are always people who are easy to manipulate, weak-minded, who don't look too far, who are very ignorant. You should know that the proposals don't necessarily come from the government because there were consultations before with many communities. It's a law that has been in consultation for more than a year, with the community. So there are a number of reforms inside, but mainly about organization. And I think that this is a law that protects more the religious, in the sense that then, imagine anyone can stand up today and self-proclaim as a leader. They preach as they want, whatever they want. They can develop an ideology on their own and are under no one's control. This law allows for organization. When you look at the level of Catholics, there is an umbrella organization. At the level of traditionalists, there are umbrella organizations. At the level of Muslims, there are umbrella organizations. And it is this umbrella organization that should normally organize life in the community. Someone, for example, cannot just stand up, give themselves titles, and start preaching whatever they want. If, for example, you need to be an imam or a religious leader who must preach or something, the law provides that your umbrella organization must issue you a document that certifies you have the ability to perform what you want to perform. But that gives weight to the religious leader. Instead of having disorder there, someone gets up, builds their mosque, does what they want, they build their temple or their church over there, they do what they want. So that's what we try to regulate in some way. Basically, it's about giving weight to the umbrella organization, allowing them to organize within their lineage how the religion should be practiced.
Excellency, the activities of political parties have been suspended and subsequently we noticed their dissolution. So what message is behind these decisions?
No message. Natsu, so what has politics achieved in Burkina? Not much. It has divided us. That's a reality. Even within families, two brothers belonging to two parties will develop a wild hatred which you cannot understand, and that's dangerous. And in terms of development, you know that politics is like a business in Africa. That is to say, I am the president of a party, I recruit you. You are smooth talkers, great deceivers. We flatter people, they follow us. We have business operators on the left and right who help us finance, and you go and corrupt people. Once you have thoroughly corrupted, if we win the elections, what can we do? Steal for a return on investment. And those operators who financed you, you have no choice. You are obliged to give them all the state contracts. You cannot make them pay customs duties properly. You cannot make them pay taxes properly because they need a return on investment. That's the reality. Even as when we arrived, there were operators who approached us too, to finance or something. We are not politicians. If you want to give money, that's what led us to create a donation reception commission, if you remember. Then the FSP now, because we were looking for money, but at the same time we said, well, since you have too much and you have a bad habit, give. We took it and put the treasure in an account. Now, if later you come back and say, oh, well, we support you. I need my trucks at customs. They said this, that you need to help us get them out. And generally, that's what happens. They even explain the method to you because they say you're young, you don't know. That doesn't work with me. You will pay all the customs. You will pay all the taxes properly. If you want to blackmail someone because you support it or whatever, it's at the treasury. It helps the fighters. So it's this way of doing politics and all. We did it. That requires a new political ideology. Training is needed before talking to me about politics in our way. That's why we suspended and then we dissolved. But they themselves, even those who were doing politics, agree. The RPP, it's not other people, it's the same individuals. But I think people now understand that they were manipulated, they were on the wrong path, and now we are rebuilding something new. So in a way it's not individuals who left, it's the same individuals, but I think there was a trigger that allows us to start anew. So the imperialist parties are dissolved, but the people are there, being rebuilt, ready to launch the Burkinabe machine in their own way.
Excellency, the former head of state, the ex-Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, was extradited from Togo for acts against state security and attempted destabilization. What is the next step for this case?
Sure. So it's not the first attempt, Since we've been here, there have been attempts this time. I think there was overwhelming evidence that we had to present to the thing because, there have been several attempts on his part settled in Togo, but we didn't try to extradite him or anything. Often we would tell the Togolese authorities, well, this is what he is doing, he needs advice, because when he left, we never tried to start a witch hunt, as they say. We never opened a corruption case or anything against him, because it's a principle for me. A former head of state, if he was a head of state, I am not going to bother someone about that, because it is a responsibility that was entrusted to him. He led millions of people, even if it was for 1 month, he did it. So, out of respect for that spirit, whether it is President Roche or Damiba himself, I have never bothered anyone.
Not that they are innocent, There are many things, but I decided not to bother anyone.
And he should quietly settle in Togo. Unfortunately, he has entered a spiral where he must destroy us at all costs. We tried to contain it, but when you consider the latest attempts, there are still very serious things where he told those who were supposed to take action and everything that there would be many deaths. They should kill as much as possible because to achieve their goals, they must kill. And not even worry because they have links with terrorists too, who will kill many around to occupy the units. So they cannot come to Ouagadougou to support us. So something planned like that, where you have to kill many innocents unnecessarily. Well, we have sent all the evidence to the Togolese authorities. He could not deny it. I think he was heard there by the justice system. It's real. That's why he was extradited. Now, for the moment, he is here. We are digging into it, and it's a very complex case because there are many things involved. What we discovered is that it involves many countries we wouldn't imagine, who were supposedly friends. It involves many people, many personalities around the world, and we understand that there was a big machine, actually. Anyway, a judge has already seen it, It's heavy, very heavy. And for us, it has given us a lot of information, many lessons.
To quickly talk about the fight against corruption that is in full swing currently in Burkina Faso and is yielding results, but some believe that only small fish are being caught for now and that the big fish manage to slip through the net.
Do you want to talk about the Courage cameras?
Exactly.
No, the courageous cameras are just one part. But wait, when it comes to the Tayan case, is that courageous camera? But it's billions. You followed that live, didn't you? But it's not the only case. There are many other cases being handled, but it's because some are publicized. So there are big fish in quotes who are caught, but either the trial is not public, or there are also those who have stolen, but who do what is called a settlement. That is, they repay with penalties. It's the finance people who calculate that. It's because there is this word too. If you steal and you get caught, then they can decide to make a settlement. You pay with the necessary penalties, and then if there is a sentence to serve, you will also do it. So there are many trials taking place. The justice system is very busy right now, but that's what you see only because small corruptions also lead to big corruptions, because small corruptions frustrate the population. Can you imagine someone who has a sick person in the hospital and they go out to urgently get a product? Then they get stopped. For example, a process has been put in place, for instance, with the Laban Brigade, so that people are no longer stopped and have their vehicle taken or are kept there. No, a card is given to you and you leave. If now an agent refuses to do that, someone who has their child, or in any case, someone at the hospital who is dying, they rush to get a prescription. A process has been put in place so that these guys can quickly get these products and distribute them. But you resort to corruption. You hold the guy, contrary to what is said, and you demand that he pays you for your pocket instead of leaving. So that's the harm it can cause to the people. That's why we fight against it too. And that's what we showed publicly so that people would stop. It's the same thing with the land services, plots and others. People, you can go with all your possible misery, beg them, but they don't care. Yet in a large majority, what we call the servants of the people, the public service everywhere, you are there to serve the people. And if you take actions that frustrate the people, that create a harm among the people, we will not let that go either. But we need to show it to everyone so that others do not fall into the same mistake, if I may say. That's why we film and show it. We have many files on this. We have only shown a part, but we have many files. But also the big fish, as you say, there are many cases. There are many cases being handled at the level of justice. People are reimbursing. There are many things happening, but I can say that it has decreased a lot. We cannot say that we will eradicate it 100%, but the fight is relentless and it is producing results.
We will now move on to the third part of this interview, which is dedicated to the economy and development sections. And we start with you, Mr. Yao.
Excellency, Burkina Faso reached record levels in mobilizing its own resources in 2025 with more than 2,300 billion. Despite the security situation, what are the levers supporting this record mobilization?
All right, thank you. The first thing to say about that is human resources. Congratulations go to our finance agents. They are the ones who did the remarkable work. Certainly, we talked, we brought reforms, changed mindsets, but it's because they embraced these mindsets that they are able to do the work as well. Otherwise, you can make many reforms, have beautiful texts. It's true that measures need to be taken for implementation and all, but if the human resource hasn't grasped the foundation, they will always look for ways and means to circumvent, and you won't have any revenue. What some So, as I said, it's them we should congratulate first because they listened, they understood what we said, and they are applying the texts we are adopting. That's what brings all these results. So, congratulations, and I think we are continuing the reform so that we can achieve the maximum revenue. That's what allows us to equip our forces, train them, and build our country. So the agents of the Ministry of Finance have understood this, and they are doing a truly remarkable job, and we will continue to encourage them to keep surpassing themselves, even in the same direction as the fight against fraud and all that. You see that they are really getting active, and we congratulate them for that. If we don't do that, we cannot protect our industries, we cannot protect our economy and everything that goes with it. So if they had reverted to old practices, we would not have been able to reach this level.
Mr. President, you have launched a gigantic project, the construction of the Ouagadougou Highway. It seems to be a project you are committed to.
I care about it a lot, and it's not, as I say, it's not the only road we will make. But the Ouagadougou Highway, if you take the road to Bobo, look at the number of accidents we've had on this road for 2 years now. The road is very narrow.
There are too many fatal accidents. Every day there are fatal accidents on the route.
We needed a road. We found an existing project, but it's 2x2. And when I looked into it, I tried to see which companies had proposed themselves and all that. First of all, they are foreign companies. And the cost of construction, about 300 kilometers, 2x2 lanes, we were at 1,000 and some billions, 1,032 billion, the cheapest. Well, I said 2x2 is already outdated. 2x2, if a truck breaks down, it stops and then, well, it's over, right? You are the number of cars, the traffic on the RN1, so it's outdated. So I asked for 4x2. And as I already said, you see, often we have this complex, this misfortune. Black people do not believe in themselves. There you go. Even when I said 4x2, there were ministry officials who smiled, you know. It's impossible. I said, okay, we put the project on standby, and so I activated Faso to pay for the maximum amount of equipment. And down to every detail. Today they have everything, all the necessary machines to do the red road section, all the necessary machines to do the asphalt up to the granite crusher from the quarry. So that means they are completely autonomous. So we are able to build our highway, and after that there are many highways. I want all regional capitals to be connected by highways. All exits from Burkina should be highways. There you go, the road, it's crucial, both for the economy and for our forces. The highway network of Burkina will be the densest in Africa, as we have projected. And it keeps coming. We still have nearly 10 brigades that must come. What has arrived is not even 40% of what is supposed to come. We are going to equip ourselves seriously, make a qualitative leap in 5 years.
The road is essential for development, as are the mines, and we know that Burkina has made a great leap by being among the top 4 African gold-producing countries, which is very important. And today, you have established your gold reserve. So now, Mr. President, what perspective does this announce, the establishment of this gold reserve?
Gold is a safe haven, as we like to say, with currencies that are not stable and all. Everyone is looking for gold to build a reserve because you never know. You know, we experienced a brief period in 2023 when they wanted to block us on everything, when we wanted to pay for drones. Our transactions were not going through. We looked for ways and means because with our equipment, we went outside the official channel of sending things to ECOWAS to get authorization. When we say ECOWAS, it's the French who are there, who give the authorization to acquire such weapons or not. We did not want to go through that channel. So our transactions were also blocked with arguments that don't hold up. So here we are. The war is here, and we want drones, we want weapons, but we can't. At one point, it was hydrocarbons. So now these transactions aren't going through. So these are indirect sanctions to stifle us. And at the time, diplomats came to tell us that we should change things, to join, because we wouldn't even be able to pay salaries by March. That means 6 months. We won't be able to because we control nothing of the economy. They are capable of anything. I said, there is no problem. Wait, so one day I blocked all the gold production from all the mines. I gathered everything and told the partners
to come get the gold and send us our drones. That's what we did. Our drones came, they took their gold, they left. We need someone's money. So gold is important. People need gold, and we need something in the world. In short, it's not a way to say how people will manage, but it requires courage. It's true. But that's what we had to do for a certain time, and people understood. Well, they found a way to manage. They eased up a bit. Yeah. And those same people even came to pay for the gold with us. I mean. So gold is very important, and I think everyone should stockpile as much gold as possible. We did not control our sector. We have seen the data, but we have created all the mechanisms to more or less control the production sector today. Currently, we are acquiring shares in many existing industrial units. We have reviewed the mining contracts, so to speak, and everything. In any case, in a good atmosphere with these people who are there, who are exploiting. And Burkina will benefit from its gold, because everywhere in Africa, that's the problem. You can't understand that you have such a quantity of gold and they say you are the poorest, you are the last. But why? There are countries that have oil here in Africa. You go to the Gulf countries, they have oil. They are more developed than African countries. But we are cursed. We need to ask the real questions and change. But if the leaders do not want to change, and the people also accept their miserable conditions, well, what can we do? We do not want to see our people in misery. We do not have oil, certainly, but we have gold, the little that gold can do, or other resources. We will use it wisely so that our people can know happiness. That is our battle horse. There is no reason why people have gold in the world, they develop, and we have gold too. It doesn't develop. So we have made considerable progress in mastering gold in recent years, and it is satisfying. And we will continue like this until we regain full control of our gold.
That's what I can say.
Precisely, Mr. President. Can we have an idea of the quantity that makes up Burkina's gold reserve currently?
I can tell you that. It's not something that is said publicly. It's something that is kept secret. Even the countries that claim, when they tell you how many tons of gold they have or whatever, it's not true. The reality is not that. You will never be told exactly. If we know exactly how much gold you have in reserve, it means we know your exchange capacities and everything. We can anticipate many things about you. And it's not that we did, we are doing. I told the minister every day that God makes and that it is possible to pay for the gold. So every week we continue to pay to build reserves. There you go. And that's so that when we want to deal with everyone, we are respected. And there you go. No one should think that if he doesn't do something, he is not. Now, we are not in that mindset. If you want to show us that you don't respect, we set you aside and move on. So we continue to make our reserves. It's for respect in economic exchanges tomorrow, and that is very important.
You have placed your governance under the banner of industrial development, and in this sense, many units have been launched and others will surely follow. What is your assessment in the industrial field?
Oh, the evaluation, I can say it's embryonic. We're only at the beginning. And I think I will have to start an exercise soon of communicating with my people again, because people still don't understand. People believe that an industrial unit is necessarily large structures and all. Young people can create small industrial units, but very important ones. You see, for example, I take when you get up in the morning, the little spoon you have in your coffee there. Who makes that in Burkina? Do you know any? Can't we make it? Surely some small machines need to be paid for, and the young people get a bit of training and then manufacture. That's a business too, you know? We need to first look at our daily lives. What do we do every day? What is part of our daily lives? And that's where we need to draw ideas from. Everything we used to import, and that young people can say, okay, this we import and we don't make it here, or we don't make enough. I'm going to get into that, start a project on that, seek knowledge on that, and we try to support them. So the industry is only embryonic. We are at the beginning. Currently, we have tackled sectors that allow us to be somewhat sovereign, because you see, everything is imported here.
When I talked about what we consume first. Today we have launched, for example, wheat cultivation. And we have factories that produce wheat flour and all types of flour that can make bread, biscuits, and everything else. But before we used to import the flour. When the importation was banned, people built factories, but they would go buy wheat and come back to process it. But today, we want to grow wheat to be able to do it. Do you know how much money we save? And alongside that, there are factories we have helped people finance that will open soon, which will produce everything like pasta, spaghetti, and such.
All that we used to import, right? When we take our pasta, it comes from elsewhere.
We don't manufacture here, but that's our consumption. It will be internalized. Rice, we have already made an incredible leap. We cultivate a lot, but we have encouraged people to create many processing units. There are many qualities of Burkinabe rice today. That's what we consume. Take corn, couscous. We used to cultivate corn and export it raw. Then we go buy couscous elsewhere and come back to flood our markets. There, it's not going well. Many units have opened. Many units that we are still encouraging, if you follow the news, is to be able to transform all that. Infant flour and everything else, we order everything from outside. But we need to move away from that, to transform our raw materials ourselves and be able to add value. No, why can't we export our raw soybeans and then go buy soybean oil at the store? Peanuts, you know, there are so many oil seeds, but why don't we do it? Some will even say that, well, there are diseases, and they said to buy sunflower oil or whatever. They said we grow sunflowers, we do it. There are already factories that press sunflower oil. So we are able to do everything here, but why do we have to go pay elsewhere? So that's it, it's industrialization. Today, you see the pineapple. I am encouraging factories that will emerge, that will make pineapple juice. Instead of importing, we will be the ones exporting, and that works very well. It's much more qualitative than what we even pay for elsewhere in coastal countries. So there are many things in our daily life, what we eat, what we wear, and everything. And when we get up in the morning, we should be able to look at ourselves. Okay, I wore this is imported. I said no, we are going to build a factory that will go from cotton to that. It will be ready this year, 2026, God willing. So I no longer want to be dressed in a thread that comes from outside because our farmers grow cotton. I cannot accept that they come and impose the price of cotton on the farmers while we have to transform it. And imagine the number of jobs that creates. For a long time now, we have been training our people in training schools and technical vocational training in mechanics, industry, and industrial engineering. They are sitting unemployed. They go to study industrial engineering, but afterwards they look for public service exams to become administrators somewhere. In fact, we have lost. But today, if there are industries, all these people will find their place. When you get up in the morning, you take your motorcycle to go to work or something, it's imported. Even the nut, when a nut falls off on the road, it's imported. So that you can repair the nut. But nuts, there are small machines that can do it. So the industry, everyone must understand, it ranges from small scale to large scale. So when we say an industry, it is not necessarily large units. All young people can create small industrial units by looking at what we do in our daily lives to reduce imports. And so we have the embryonic stage, we will communicate and encourage. That's why we restructured the funds. You have followed in 4 major funds. It's really to support those who have structuring projects in industrial fields to avoid imports and currency outflows. That's what I can say.
So, Mr. President, I would like to ask another question. We are currently celebrating, in any case, the National Days of Patriotic Commitment and Citizen Participation. The slogan built around these days, the first phrase is, "My plate, my pride." So, what message exactly to the Burkinabe in connection with this slogan?
So there are things I cannot say to people up to now, but God willing, a day will come when I will say things to shock the consciences of Burkinabe and Africa in general. We recently made a reform to create what is called the Food and Drugs Administration, that is everything related to food and medicine. We are in the
process of modernizing a laboratory, to conduct all possible tests and analyses. Let's consume what we produce. Our lands are rich, our farmers are brave. Let's produce, transform, and consume. We don't have to have the luxury of modernism we're looking for, but what we want, we can achieve. That's why I often tell people, I say, I wasn't born in Ouaga 2000. What I'm used to is my porridge in the morning with pancakes. If I get that, it's good. If I don't get that, I drink tea, and that's it.
Croissants and the like, that's not my problem.
Because the day I make that my problem, my habit, the wheat must be produced here by my farmers, processed here all the way to the bakery by my farmers. I didn't used to consume chocolate, but today I can tell you that sometimes I send people to buy chocolate from, there is a Burkinabe master chocolatier in Ouaga here, Master Bayala. And that's the only place where I might say I will get chocolate. That's all. And he has many sales points across the country. So if someone is trying to find out where I buy, they won't know. It's to say that we need to be aware. We must produce in Burkina, consume in Burkina, or in Africa, that we unite and understand this. If we don't understand it, it's at our own risk and peril. How many people today are becoming impotent, infertile, or what? Our ancestors were like that. It's the reality.
It will make people laugh, but it's the reality.
Even the medicines have too many infections, antibiotics here and there. We were lucky to know more about roots and other things, but I even told our doctors, our researchers to refocus on our capabilities, that is the plants we have here.
What molecules are in it and what can they exploit? And they are working on it. I even received proposals where people asked us to pay for a certain number of pieces of equipment that would allow them to conduct thorough research. I said, look, I prefer that.
Because we must be careful. They tried to exterminate us, and it's not today that they will stop.
So, my plate?
That will be my daily fight. And even the plate in which we put the food, I told you, porcelain and others, everyone uses it. I said, no, is it made here? But we can do it. It's not clay that we lack. It's not the thing. Here's a bit of what I can say about this day of patriotic commitment. We need to become ourselves again and be able to take responsibility for what we produce, consume what we produce. And it is only under this condition that we will endure. What I am saying will cause a lot, make a lot of ink flow, will not please some, but the reality is there. No one wants to see our populations evolve. And yet we project that in 10 years, Burkina will reach 50 million. Or else. Have children, we need them. The lands are rich and we need to, there you go, we will work. And that's mainly it. So that's a bit of what motivated us, and we will continue in this direction.
Mr. President, Burkina is making great strides towards self-sufficiency and industrialization, but as you said, a lot needs to be produced locally, and to be able to produce, local industrialists and producers need support. Where do you stand with the relief of domestic debt, the burden of domestic debt?
Yes, we have made a lot of efforts nonetheless. We have made a lot of efforts. I remember in 2022, it was a crucial issue. Every time it's complaints and everything. So finally, I asked to see the situation. When the minister who was newly appointed took over, he said, there are debts from several years, companies that have been pressing. There are companies that were even sinking. I said, but this is not simple. However, we have to finance our war. We have to pay for equipment. We have to stuff. So I said, what we are going to do in the first half of the year, we will focus, pay for a lot of equipment, and we will reorganize. In 1 quarter, here are the texts we will take for. There, no. In terms of taxes and all that, we tried to do some work. And starting from the 2nd quarter of 2023, we need to hustle so that when we finish the year 2023, there are no more debts from 2022. There are only debts from 2023. We tried, but there were still large companies with debts from 2022 that we couldn't pay. And little by little, I followed this at the end of the year. Are there any debts from the previous year? So when I look at 2025, in December 2025, there were no debts from the previous year. On the contrary, I said to prioritize companies that do not have too large invoices. And so that often 3 months, maximum 6 months, we cleared that. So which means we moved from a volume of domestic debt of several hundred billion that lingered for years, and we managed to catch up everything today as I speak. So there are still large companies that can have invoices up to 6 months. That, well, we say that when we look at their turnover and everything, they can manage with it. But we make an effort so that small businesses do not have debts that can linger to allow them to operate. So significant efforts have been made, and we continue to monitor this in any case, step by step.
There you go.
So, Your Excellency, energy still plays a significant role in industrial development. This year, we noticed there are more power outages compared to last year. So the question already arises as to what is being done to put an end to this situation.
So, as I said, energy sovereignty, we have come a long way. There are many things being done. But look, we launched several projects this year, and we were hoping to have all our generators before January, you know. But if you have noticed, there are groups that arrived just a few days ago, and they keep coming. You see those big machines they transport on long flatbed trucks and stuff. You often follow when they come in. It moves practically at a walking pace to leave the port, even to reach Ouagadougou. It takes at least 1 month. It progresses at a very slow pace. Unfortunately, it arrived late. There are even groups still at the port that we haven't been able to bring in yet. So even those that arrived in February and March, I won't lie to you, we can't set everything up in such a short time. We were too dependent. We were importing. The trend was importing from Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, more than half of our energy. That's why we decided to build our own power plants to be self-sufficient, and that is underway. And there too, as I said, there are many things. You know, ships were diverted at one point due to certain conflict situations. Something that was supposed to arrive in 45 days now takes 70 days or so. Arriving at the port again is a challenge. So there are power plants being developed, and the plan is to set up a plant in each region. Instead of concentrating on Ouagadougou and Bougou to serve, we want to make the regions autonomous. And so several plants are being installed. I think in Koudougou, it's almost finished. Koudougou, a bit everywhere. There are other cities that have been targeted even to have power plants. So we hope to solve the energy issue, at least as quickly as possible, as long as we don't have other international constraints. So as long as there is not even energy, our dream of industry cannot happen. It's impossible. Our industry is consumed. There is also our transmission line that needs to be completely changed now. And changing this network alone costs hundreds of billions. We need to order all these cables, build, and if you notice around the city, we are building lines everywhere. So all of this is a construction site. There is production, but the transport needs to be completely rebuilt. And we are on that, and to be able to have our own clean energy, pure, that is transported with a lot of safety and will be stable for our industries.
Excellency, in February 2023, the state created the Agency for the Promotion of Community Entrepreneurship, APEC, with a view to implementing popular shareholding. How do you assess the progress made so far?
That's true. It must be said that APEC was born out of a desire. APEC was opposed, continues to be opposed. We've seen it all, yeah. We even caught people in the act, writing in the streets, crossing out posters, tearing down APEC posters and everything, and who were sent by others to do it. Many business operators have fought against APEC. Bankers have fought against APEC. That's a reality. They can't deny it. If we haven't acted in a certain way, it's not because we don't have things at hand, but we have avoided things because we want to make them see. And so in communication, the APEC was also sabotaged. If already by physical acts they sabotage, it's not through communication. So people paid others to speak on networks. In fact, to denigrate for... So the APEC was born and faced this wave of hostility. But they managed to hustle
weathered the storm, and already they completed their first unit. The second unit is almost finished in Tinkodogo. The first APEC mine, all the equipment is there. God willing, in a few days, they will cast the first ingots because they have already extracted the ore. They are installing the plant, and the second mine will also start operation soon, and so on. We will give them semi-mechanized units. This will allow them to achieve profitability very quickly, but to reinvest that in industrial units. You saw that they launched the chili processing unit in Banfara and all that. So there is work being done so that they can also exploit the gold, but also use that to launch the industrial units more quickly.
Mr. President, last December, you took over the presidency of the AES, and you have many priorities. You really have a lot to do. And today, can we know a bit, 3 months later, what are really the main priorities of your term, since the term is 1 year?
I think you are aware of the roadmap, I suppose. The experts met, agreed on a roadmap, and that's what we will try to implement. Actually, in a few days, the chiefs of staff are supposed to be here for the first major operations. The force needs to have its vectors. If it decides to intervene somewhere, it will do so with all its resources. And so, for example, this aspect, we are quickly strengthening the capacities, because when we talk about capabilities, autonomous power is needed. And that is very important. So we need that, and to put them into operation for very large operations across the entire area. So that is an important task. Secondly, there is also the question of integration. Because we must not say integration and behave like other organizations, integration must be real. And I am preparing a text to double our efforts and prevent hassles between our different countries, whether at the borders or inside, because we must not have the hypocritical illusion of those other African organizations. When we say integration, it means integration. There are many returns at the borders. People are bothered. Even within the countries, people are often bothered. So I have thought of a mechanism to put an end to that. And the forces of the three countries must be together in all countries. In embassies, at borders, we will implement this mechanism and fight effectively against corruption. If an agent is caught in corruption during passage or checks, we must have the courage to deal with them with utmost energy, to dismiss them because they do not even deserve to bear our name. And the other aspect is the economy, development. I think there are a good number of projects that we are currently implementing, and that is a battle because it's the economy that runs the world. And there too, we have a big challenge that we will tackle, God willing.
Excellency, on March 12, the European Parliament adopted a resolution for the release of former President Mohamed Bazoum. You have already issued a statement. Is this an interference in the affairs of the Confederation?
Necessarily interference. Niger belongs to the European Union.
They just need to stay calm at home. Have we ever interfered in their affairs? Bazoum, he's Nigerian, right? Or is he from the European Union? Let them tell us if he is an agent they placed who is not Nigerian, who came for a mission. They just need to tell us if we are going to return their agent. We will see what we will do before returning or not. This must stop now. People need to stop behaving as if we were in colonial times. And that is also what we are denouncing and fighting against with many African leaders. Look at us.
Even the African Union, it doesn't belong to Africans. They are dictated to. Whatever they are told to do, they do. They are told to issue a certain statement, they do it.
Even the building of the African Union, you know it was not built by Africans. We are not ashamed. And as long as we show this stance, they will continue to behave like that. European Union Parliament, but take care of the European Union's problems. Aren't the people there suffering? Or the farmers there are suffering? We see them. They beat their farmers in the streets with strange agreements. They can't even survive anymore. People are committing suicide there. But take care of your problems. Fight against your oligarchies that impoverish your populations. Instead of coming here to say that they give us back more of Africa's energy. In any case, if it's from here, we will fight so that there is nothing left here. If you want, you come and cooperate properly. If it's to come and plunder us, then never. That's the battle, it's the energy. Uranium, oil, even a gold, that's the battle. For a long time you have plundered there, and there you go, and they are in the dark. You are in the light, you do whatever you want, but wait, okay, we're getting ready.
Mr. President, within the EAS, it is a common vision. We speak with the same voice, and these are joint actions that are carried out together. This has been observed several times. I would just like to know, on the diplomatic level, can bilateral relations take precedence over confederal ones?
So over there, maybe we need to be a bit more decisive to say that it's true, it's a confederation. Each country can develop its bilateral relations and all. But somehow, if it must have an impact on the Confederation, we need to be able to slow it down. And it requires sincerity first among us leaders, sincerity in our policies, so internal, to be able to prevent a Trojan horse from slipping through bilateral cooperation within the organization. It's a current topic, and we ourselves are in the process of, we are consulting on it, and I think that soon we will have a very clear resolution on this, so that bilateral does not take precedence over confederal.
Excellency, the AES Execution Agency is also one of the most anticipated instruments. So what about it? Where do you stand with the establishment of this agency?
Yes, we are even in the process of modifying the execution agent's desire. We want it to be like a study office, actually, because the model, what we said in the AES, we must avoid doing what we used to do. That does not work. If you follow the roadmap, you will see that we did not include an execution agent. I think I had said to put in a study agent because we still need to restructure and equip to be a force for proposals. So in terms of agriculture, what should the three countries do? Because it's not obvious that everyone should produce the same thing. In any case, we don't even have the same climate. There can be things that can be produced in one country, others in another, maximized. And then the most important thing is the market we will unite. I think it's a better formula than an execution agency.
I know that many actions are being taken. There is the joint force you mentioned, but somewhere, Mr. President, today, wouldn't it be time to also look at the confederal level, this process of doctrinal dialogue to somewhat detoxify all these young people who are indoctrinated, while in essence we are talking about religion, but those terrorists are not religions as such.
Yes, it takes work, but we try ourselves to communicate a lot about this so that young people understand. And when we even show the images of certain operations and everything, it's so that young people understand that there is no future. But you know, the indoctrination work in Africa has been deep. Has been very deep. No matter what he said, there are many young people joining these terrorist movements in the name of religion. That is an undeniable reality. If we overlook this and don't acknowledge this truth, we will have failed. So we must also involve religious leaders in their work. Here, we have put people on an alternative speech project, and we will correct it. We will impose a speech. That's what must be preached everywhere. Because extremism is dangerous, and it is extremism that leads people to join this kind of movement. There are many over there who believe in it. I told you once, I have been on the ground. Today, the young soldiers are on the ground. What is the reality? You cannot destroy a terrorist base without finding Quranic books. Why?
It's layered over there.
Those who are there, fighting on the ground, many of them fight because they believe it is for religion. That's what they are told. And their leaders indoctrinate them for that. Imams come from all over, you know, to preach to them in the bush, to indoctrinate them in the sense of religion and make them understand that others are infidels and they must be killed. And that's it. They have those books in the bush, they read, the others are infidels, they must be killed. But their leaders know well what they are doing. And they are well settled, well off. Very often they are people who do everything contrary to what the religion itself says. You will find them in matters of adultery, they are champions. In matters of alcohol, drugs, they are champions. And their work is political. They know what they are doing because they are held by the imperialists to destroy our nations, and they are well off. Their children, their families are well protected somewhere. But they will indoctrinate these fools, as I call them, there on the ground, those who hold the weapons there, and they truly believe it is religion. That's why we need to develop mechanisms so that people can preach everywhere to make it clear that this is not religion and this is imperative. I agree with you. It's underway. We need to have a single document so that everywhere we can preach the same thing. Maybe it will help some who are convinced of this thing to slow down and not go towards it anymore. Because even in our cities, it's not uncommon to encounter young people who think that you are not a believer, you are an infidel. And they despise you so much, they even want to kill you. And they tell themselves in their head that if they kill you, they will even go to paradise. People like that, they are ready to take up arms, supposedly to kill non-believers, but they have been indoctrinated. So it's the reverse work that we need to do. So in any case, we are working on it to have a document. And every time people have to speak, preach and all, they should be able to preach to somewhat dismantle their discourse. And there, I think it can also make progress in recruitment into terrorist groups.
Yes, Mr. President, perhaps one last question on this topic with what is happening today in the Middle East, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz. Are there possibilities that the closure and the war, the closure of the strait and of course the war being waged there could have consequences on our economies, the economies of AS countries, particularly concerning oil?
Certainly, there are already consequences. Now in Burkina, we are trying to continue. You know that everything like gasoline, diesel, gas and so on is subsidized. In fact, the price we pay is not the price at which we sell to the population. So of course, the state subsidizes. And how does the state subsidize? It's through our own resources that we exploit again. That's what we also try to ensure to subsidize these kinds of hydrocarbons. There are already consequences. The price of the barrel has risen.
The resource itself is becoming scarce because the countries that are now able to export have also increased the price, so we pay much more.
But well, we have tried to always maintain the same prices, whether for gas or gasoline, and we hope the situation resolves. Otherwise, if there is a cost on energy, there is inevitably a cost on industry, a cost on raw materials, a cost on everything that is imported because transport becomes more complex. So everything normally increases.
Until now, we are making efforts so that the populations do not feel the effects of this war, because we unfortunately do not produce oil. In the Confederal area, Niger, in any case, is in operation.
There is a project, by the way, that we have put on the table to see how we should focus on our production here. And in any case, we are waiting for proposals from Niger, which has the resource. You know, how should we perhaps develop very large refineries to exploit what is in our subsoil for our populations and everything? Then no longer depend on imports. Otherwise, when a country produces oil and still re-imports petroleum products, well, it's a bit strange, but in Africa, it's the trend.
All African countries that produce oil, most import oil, because we export crude and re-import. Energy is the basis of everything, you know, even fertilizers. You see the fertilizers, the price will rise because many were imported from those countries, but the price will rise. So we always try to contain it, otherwise it has a considerable impact on our economies. That's a reality.
All right, really, thank you, Mr. the President. So we are at the end of this first segment, if I may say so. Thank you to you, dear colleagues, for all the questions addressed to the head of state. We will now allow you to withdraw to let the second team, which constitutes the second segment, settle in. So, Mr. President, with your permission, we will now proceed with the second segment of this program. This second segment, therefore, also welcomes 3 journalists, but this time from the international press. This is Yusra El-Bagir from Sky News, a British media outlet. We also have with us Gilles Bocco from New World TV, a media outlet based in Togo, and Valerio Cataldi from Rai TV, an Italian television channel. That's right. So good evening, dear colleagues. Let's open this chapter with African news. And for once, we'll start with you. So, Madam Yusra, then. So, your first question addressed to the head of state.
Mr. President, what is the vision of your country?
The overall vision of Burkina, you mean? Well, thank you and welcome. And I think you are in the country that today advocates sovereignty, national sovereignty, total independence, because you are aware that our country was colonized like many African countries, but today we are expressing ourselves, and so the struggle for sovereignty and independence is the driving force of our fight.
Thank you. What does your revolution mean in practice? Is it a revolt against the West or an internal national change?
Revolt against the West? No. The West vision, we must not mix things up. I like to say, as a revolutionary, to distinguish between the people and the policies. There are many in Europe and the West who support us in our struggle. We see through the peoples, and we see even through your TV platforms and all, many people who intervene, who support our fight for freedom. And I think everyone has an interest in it. But now the policies of some countries may be opposed to our ideology. And the revolution, logically, will fight this ideology because we want to assert ourselves. There are those who do not want us to assert ourselves, who want to keep us in slavery, in alienation. We, the revolution, fight against that.
So that's a bit of our guideline.
Yes. So, Mr. Boko.
My first question, how do you define Togo's specific contribution to the consolidation of the Sahel States Alliance? Do you consider Togo a strategic partner of this new architecture, even though it is not a member of the SSA?
Togo is a country. In any case, I wanted to thank the Togolese people and their authorities very much. I can say that Togo is more than a strategic partner. I don't speak of a strategic partner. I speak of a country of brothers. Because when people try to stifle you, to kill you, just then a brother can help you. I think brotherhood doesn't go beyond that. And during difficult times, Togo has always taken its position, and to this day, Togo has its position, its line of conduct that supports the AES. And so it is a brother country. It is more than a partner. Here is what I can say. And Togo has taken many actions, whether on the economic front, through the maritime route, certainly, but even in the defensive sector, Burkina Faso, for example, and Togo, we have very close cooperation in the fight against terrorism and all, and that is something to be congratulated.
We are beyond what people can imagine. I often said it today, the two armies, the responses towards each other and the planning are no longer at the state level.
It's not like before when a plane from Burkina had to intervene or a Togolese plane had to intervene. We had to call all the way to the presidency to get authorization to cross the borders. No, it's at the local level. It's not even the general staff, it's directly at the local level. So the forces coexist and everything. So you see, it's an exceptional partnership. It's about brotherhood, that's all we ask for.
And this partnership has perhaps undoubtedly been strengthened with the extradition of the former President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba.
Yes, strengthened is saying too much. It was already strong. It's just a logical continuation. Togo cannot be in brotherhood with us and allow someone on its soil who seeks to destroy its brothers. So it is us who have wanted Togo to keep him for a long time. Otherwise, this person did not start now, but at some point, with quite overwhelming evidence, the Togolese authorities decided to send him back so that he would not be an obstacle to our progress. So that too is to be commended.
Have you already met him face to face since his extradition? Why?
No, I don't have to do it. He's bringing it to justice. He intends to do it in front of everyone. I didn't do it.
Excellent. There have been at least 5 coup attempts against you. Who wants to kill you and why?
You counted 5. There are many more. There are many more. That's perhaps what's being revealed. Every day there are people who are determined to make sure we are not here. Those who want to see us disappear are the ones we call the salon slaves. They are the ones who sell Africa, who do not want Africa to be free. They are very often Africans who are alienated, who are exploited.
Today you are Italian. Look at the migration flows towards Europe and especially Italy. And I wanted to commend your authorities for the humanism they often demonstrate. We have seen countries that if they don't intentionally overturn the boats, won't save them. There are many humanitarian organizations in Italy doing many things that I greatly commend, and many Africans are in Italy. But our philosophy, it pains us to see our young people take these risks to go to Europe. The young African could take a plane, go on a tour in Europe, everywhere, but not take the risk of getting on a boat, possibly getting killed in the ocean to reach Europe. Allegedly, he is looking for El Dorado, work just to survive. We do not want to see that. We want to fight against those. We are among those leaders who want to create conditions for our young people to work here instead of staying in the streets of others, begging. And very often, there are those who end up with behaviors that are not healthy in your societies over there. We do not want to see that. The African is not a subhuman. But in this same context, the countries that colonize us, that want to see us in slavery, that want to keep us there, have their supporters here, their local lackeys, their representatives, and these people are ready to do anything to see us eliminated. That is unfortunately the context of Africa. And these individuals, every day that God makes, when we are alive, they are not happy. And so it is a permanent and continuous struggle. And we see.
And who are the imperialists?
Imperialists, there is not a face you can attach to them. It's a mentality. It's not a question of skin color.
I was just saying, the European people support us a lot. Many European leaders even support us, by the way.
I heard one of your leaders in particular sounding the alarm, saying that the fact that France exploits Africa with its CFA franc and everything creates these waves of migration to European countries, especially to Italy. She is absolutely right. That's the situation. So you see that it's in Europe, but not everyone understands it the same way. So imperialism is the individual who wants to dominate the other, who wants to keep the other in slavery, who oppresses others. He can be black, he can be white, he can be African, he can be European, he can be American, he can be Asian, he can be of any nationality. But any individual who has this desire to oppress others, to keep others under domination, is an imperialist.
Can individual freedom be integrated, and your revolution a vision of total sovereignty, the freedom of a man who wants to express freely, to impose your power?
Yes. That's something you did very well to come. That's good. Something that the mainstream media, as we call them, spend their time lying about in Europe. As if here, people walk around with axes and gourds. When you open your mouth, they hit you. That's false, you know. There is freedom. Everyone is free to say what they want, to give their opinion and all. Even on our TV channels, you see people giving their opinions. But freedom has its limits. For example, we are a country at war. We will not allow anyone to demoralize our troops while they are on the battlefield. That we will not allow. We will not allow the local lackeys of imperialism among us to try to sabotage our struggle to bring our country back into the clutches of those imperialists. The freedom of an individual, as it is said, ends where the freedom of another begins. Otherwise, you do not have a society. Just as you are free to say what you want, he is also free to say what he wants. And when everyone starts saying whatever they want, what does it end with? A fight. Do we sit back and let our society decline?
No, even those who say there is freedom of expression, there is no real freedom. So we distinguish between the French authorities and the French population.
Is there freedom of expression in France? There is not.
If you do not align with the authorities' ideology, you are kicked off television sets. There are journalists who are kicked out.
Or we saw Aline Foka recently, the Claudicia who went to get RFI. They are journalists, right, who have spent decades in radio. Why are they being chased away? Their opinion. So there is no freedom of expression there at all. Look at what's happening today. Are you crazy as a journalist? Going to do a certain report, it will never get through. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, many Russian media outlets were sought out in France. Is that freedom of expression? No. Every freedom has its limits. When the farmers, the yellow vests and others went out, they were beaten up. They wanted to express their opinion to tell the state there needs to be a certain policy so that we too can live. Here, now we take care of our farmers. No, our farmers have never marched and been beaten. We take care of them. We do everything we can so they can farm peacefully, give their best. But elsewhere, that's not the case. Yet, it's those countries that are in forums claiming to be countries of freedom. That's false.
They're all dictators. Their freedom is in relation to Africa. So freedom needs to be put into perspective. Here, we are freer than they are, much freer.
Behind the destabilization attempts you mentioned earlier, it is often said that the hands of some neighboring countries are hidden. To call a spade, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire have relations evolved with these neighboring countries. Are you ready for a de-escalation, and under what conditions, Commander President?
It doesn't depend on us. They are the ones who initiated the hostility. Let me remind you of something. When we arrived, we didn't have a problem with anyone. We communicated with everyone. We interacted with everyone and everything. But one day, for example, I was sitting. The Minister of Defense tells me that the Ivorians sent a note to withdraw all the students from our schools. The academy, the PMK, the NSOE, you see, I say, but what's going on? And then they withdraw all their officer cadets and non-commissioned officers and everything.
No explanation. I said, but prepare for reciprocity to bring our children because we don't know what they have in mind and why they are doing this. That was the starting point, the first act taken by the Ivorians. We also brought our students back and let the students leave. And little by little, we started experiencing acts of hostility towards us. No problem. We take Benin or elsewhere. We did not provoke anyone, but we also, when they wanted to bring a war to our region again, but who was at the forefront? President Ouattara came out saying he would send a battalion. He prepared everything and all. We are still waiting for his battalion. President Bina said that force is needed. They will use force. They will wage war.
We are waiting. We are ready to go to war too. There is no possible de-escalation as long as the mindset is like this. Whoever is looking for trouble will find it. So it is not us who started.
If people are not smart enough to stop letting the imperialists come and tell them, kill each other among black brothers, then let's go. If that's the solution to achieve independence, we are ready. But no one will enslave us again. We are ready for that. We are fighting. We are already fighting because terrorism is a manifestation of imperialism. So do not talk about the escalation as long as the mentality has not changed. There are people every month or every 2 months, they have to rush to Paris, go take orders and come back to apply them. They are not free. They are not free. We, on the other hand, no one dictates to us what we must do. We govern based on our populations, the needs of our populations. Our populations need water. We do everything to provide water. They need to have self-sufficiency to eat their fill. We do everything for that. They need security. We fight for the sake of security. They need roads, development. That's what we fight to achieve. But we do not go to someone to take orders, to give road contracts to such a company, give this thing to such a company or whatever. They are actually slaves. And as long as they are in this mentality, forget about de-escalation. On the contrary, it will go from bad to worse, as long as they are in this mindset.
That's what I can say. Are we not fighting for human rights? We are fighting for closed schools or no? Amandasaki said, closed schools to open so children can go to school. Isn't the right to education a human right? Who is fighting for us? Who is helping us? These same people who squawk every day about human rights, no one has given us a single cartridge to fight against the terrorism that kills our children, to fight against the terrorists who close our schools, who destroy our schools. It means that the terrorists are fighting against human rights.
We fight for human rights, and they encourage the terrorists, who fight against human rights. They are the ones who say it. And I was just talking to you about some things happening in Europe and all. But it is over there that they fight against human rights. Otherwise, here, human rights exist. And remember something, human rights come from Africa. They do not come from elsewhere. It comes from Africa and West Africa here. The first charters that spoke of human rights were here in the ES Confederation, more precisely in Mali.
The Charter of Korokanfuga.
Korokanfuga. So human rights were known by Africans. We were well organized, a well-organized society, each with their rights, even women's rights. It is in Africa that women's rights existed. Elsewhere, they did not exist. And are they the ones who can talk to us about women's rights or human rights? They know no rights. Who talks about human rights? Who bombed the children in Libya, killed? Who bombs children everywhere, drops bombs indiscriminately, kills children and stuff? Is that human rights? That's not what we do. We fight for the lives of our people. We protect them. Our soldiers die to protect them. We do everything to open our schools, to educate them. We do everything to subsidize our farmers, to do agriculture so they can eat their fill. We do everything to dig wells so people have drinking water. Who fights against human rights? It's them. They have no respect for human rights.
And the VDP accused of serious violations. Where are the promised investigations?
Those who say that the VDP are accused of serious violations, what evidence have they presented?
We ourselves, who have taken some VDPs in certain acts, they are in prison. Those VDPs are in prison and they know where they are. And we have said anyone that it's not someone. Listen, we are adults. We are adults.
No one should see us as subhumans. We know what we are doing.
And it's this mentality that is also dangerous because often some leaders in the West and such see Africans as subhumans. And so they come here as if they have to teach us things. I told you that the right to life, it's us who teach that to the rest of the world. No one teaches us that. So it's true that there have been some small problems with certain VDPs. Some have made blunders or other mistakes. They are in prison. It's without remorse. Now, all that they are saying, what proof do they have? Nothing. It's us. When people accuse us, we conduct investigations, and very often we find that is what we call perfidy. The terrorists, they come, they commit massacres in places, often wearing our uniforms. Often we even say it's the army, and then they leave. They came in army uniforms. Yes, but it's not us. They use our flags, all our insignias, and then they come to act. And the terrorists publish videos of that. But why don't they see us? The terrorists post videos on social media where they are in our uniforms, in our outfits and everything. They go to take actions, and then afterwards they film. They gave it to those individuals to say that it's the armed forces. They are well aware because they themselves go there. How did they manage to have the channel with the terrorists to get images? How do they do it? There are even people who have the nerve to tell us they filmed it. I remember once an NGO that, by satellite image, saw Malian forces committing abuses. They are not even ashamed. They don't have the intelligence to know that what they are saying is not right. Why do I say they lack intelligence? It's because they always see black people as subhuman. Otherwise, if you have the capability to have satellites to see forces committing abuses, but you don't have the capability to have satellites to see the terrorists, you are insulting us then. Here, our entire fight is for the survival of our populations and their security, and we live well. We live well. We are in good harmony. Otherwise, we couldn't go where we want. We couldn't act. You can walk around in Burkina, you can go anywhere you want. You will see what is changing in Burkina, what the people appreciate about our revolution and everything. It will do you a lot of good.
At the end of a recent tripartite meeting in Cotonou between the chiefs of staff of the armies of Côte d'Ivoire, France, and Benin, One of the officers, specifically the Chief of Staff of France, stated that since you took power, the security situation has significantly deteriorated. One might even say catastrophic.
What is your response to this officer, Mr. President?
He's French, right? He should mind his own business. We are Burkinabe. It's none of his concern. He needs to understand that. What I say is, when someone talks about our countries, it's an insult to us. It means he sees us as inferior. How is it his business? The situation has deteriorated. It's between us, Burkinabes. Does it concern him? Not at all. He should mind his own business.
What business does he have interfering in Burkina's affairs? Or is he still the colonial power? Let him say loud and clear that he is the colonial master and that we are slaves. That's why he's interfering.
Otherwise, why is he talking about Burkina? What business is it of his? They were here.
I chased them away. They left here at the beginning of 2023. They were there. When they left here, Bobo Ouagadougou was cut off. We could no longer get up in Ouagadougou, the two capitals, and go there. The terrorists were there. Kumbia, Korhogo, everything was attacked. Koudougou. People went as far as near Koudougou, 100 kilometers. Everything was surrounded. But the RN that connects Deju to Toko, who could take the road. But they were there, weren't they? With all the helicopters, tanks, and everything needed, the technology, drones, satellites, they are incompetent then. Today we move around calmly, freely. And the last time there were ambassadors from the European Union and some European countries who said, can they film? I was surprised to see them on TV. They go everywhere. Ouagadougou, they wander around the country. I go wherever I want, not by air, but by road, across my country. We couldn't get up here in Lorus, Kagawa, go do what we want, come back to Tenkodogo. It's impossible. These are Burkinabes who fought to reclaim to reclaim our lands. And if that's worse, it's certainly worse for him. It's not good for him. Our progress here is dangerous for France. It's dangerous. It's not good for us to reclaim our lands. So understand that he is right. When he speaks, it's not for our good, not for our people. It's for their benefit. They want us in insecurity so they can come. But they have been unable to bring back security. And we will say it loudly even tomorrow.
Our forces are fighting. We don't need them. Let them deal with their problems. We will too.
There you go.
Has Russia been effective in helping you fight against terrorism?
So people need to understand something. It's true that the Russian president himself has offered all the help we want in the fight against terrorism, that he wants, if we want the deployment of troops. Why? To help us fight and everything. But I say something. We are Burkinabes. No one will come to fight for us. That is intrinsic to us Burkinabes. So everything we do with Russia, if we need equipment, Russia, in any case, has opened the doors. Everything we want to buy, they are ready to sell to us. So already that's a major advancement. You know, there are many countries there to whom we wanted to pay with our money. They refused, right? It's many European countries and all. They completely refuse to sell us the equipment, but Russia sells us what we want. Secondly, with Russia, we share a lot of combat experience. They are at war, a war, I would say, modern. We also learn from their war. We are at war. They are also learning from our war. You understand? So there is a sharing of experience. It's really quite a limited area. Apart from that, no one helps us on the ground. It is the Burkinabe soldiers who fight, who reclaim our lands and who continue to progress. No one knows how it's advancing. Even the training, we train among ourselves. No one trains the Burkinabe army. There you go. Because we have a concept I like to tell people, I will say it right away.
You Europeans and others, your armies there, is it God who came to show you how to wage war?
And are you smarter than us? We have the same brain. So we too will develop the war with our own war. No one comes to train us. And no one knows how to do this war better than we do. I can tell you this, see, if European armies come here to face the terrorists in our conditions, they will die. We are the ones who know this war. We are the ones who lead it. We are the ones who train ourselves to fight this war. Africans need to stop believing that God sent a Messiah to teach others how to wage war and that they have to come teach us. Why? We can buy equipment from you which is technological.
You come to teach us how to use the equipment. After that, you leave.
That's what happens with the Russians, the Chinese, the Turks, you see, drones, some advanced equipment. When we pay, they come, but it's usually for a few months. They teach us how to use the equipment, and then after that, the contract is over, everyone goes back home. But on the battlefield, it's Burkina Faso. These are our lands, and it's us. We will fight for our lands. That's the logic.
I see, Mr. President, but more than 60% of Burkina Faso, or the majority of the country, is controlled by jihadists. Is this approach working?
Yes.
It's the truth. It's the facts.
After here, you take it anywhere you want on the map.
Online, print.
There? Online.
Online, truth. The fact.
She may have looked up information on the internet.
Yes, there you go. That's it. It's the same ones there, the same media, the same governments there. They paint Burkina in red. That's false. But I'm the head of state, or just now we were discussing assassination attempts and everything. It was a city. There are just a few cities I haven't visited yet. I go everywhere and everyone goes everywhere. So in the north, there was an area that was under control. I just said the forces are up to Petekulu today.
In the east, at the border towards Benin, our forces took Nadiago 1 or 2 weeks ago. Right now, they are in Pony, near your place. It's where we can go. It's a lie, they are lying. Everything is completely false. If it were, as you say, we would be going around here, right? We ride by bike, right? We organize our events, right? Some even said last time that Djibo disappeared, Djibo fell. During the same time, there was a football competition in Djibo that ended a few days ago. They are lying. The art of lying is in the Western media. Many of these mainstream media, as I like to say, they only lie to sell you false information and make you believe that everything is going wrong. On the contrary, many things are going well here. Our economy is doing very well. We are doing better in our fight and we are moving forward. So be careful with what you read on the internet.
Is Russia helping you manage your online image?
Why? I don't need that.
Africans are already doing it. Many of your populations in Europe are already doing it. In America, all over the place. Do you think all those people, we can help them, pay them or something? No, I think people have seen our struggle. They have understood our struggle.
And you see, is this habit that people have? We pay people to manage what? Why? To help organize their online image. What? No. We've moved past that. Media approached us to do that. I told you that.
We said, we don't pay. We don't do it. Go ahead, ruin our image. They do it, right? Jeune Afrique, whatever. We will never pay for that.
Before it was asked them, it was done. And even where we used to charge, I shut everything down. We don't pay anything anymore. Because you have a state-owned company, they make them take shares in their media. Shares in media are not a return.
You invest. I stopped everything.
Anyone who wants to tarnish our image can go ahead. Our people know what we are doing. Africans know what we are doing. Populations who want a just world everywhere know what we are doing. So initially, people talk about the good things we do, because what we do is also just, our fight is just. So we don't pay anyone to clean up images or anything. No, spare the Russians from those things, right?
It's everything. It's the Russians. We believe that Africans are not capable of doing anything.
It's Russia that must always hold people's hands. Please leave them alone.
The Russians are in their fight over there. We have very good cooperation, but don't think they have a slaveholder mentality like people think. No, the Russians are not like that. They do not interfere in people's affairs, and that's what I appreciate about them.
Okay, yes. Precisely regarding these new strategic partnerships, particularly with Russia, one could say that it's not a good time for Russia's allies, especially in Venezuela and Iran. So I wondered, do you see the Black Winter coming to Ouagadougou? Does it cross your mind that you might be taken one day like someone else and judged elsewhere? Can the Black Winter extend to Burkina?
You know,
Africans have a problem. And the major problem is wanting to believe that someone will fight your battle for you. I just explained it in detail. We, like this from the beginning, I told you we had all the proposals, not only from Russia, you know, many countries offered to send troops to help us and everything. We said no, no, and no. Because I instilled the mindset in the military leaders and all. Our fight is ours first. Our security is ours first. No one will do it for you. If someone comes to do it, it's no longer your land, for one. If someone has to ensure your security for you, it's not your security. You're being controlled. And if you have to learn to secure your surroundings from someone, it means they know your procedures. They know everything. Do you understand? And if you make an alliance believing that in case of trouble, it's the ally who must come to fight, you're completely wrong. And I keep telling those who are close to me or those who are far away, you must rely on yourself first. And when you rely on yourself and develop your own tools, you are not afraid at first. So that's very important. So we don't count on it. If there are allies of Russia who relied on Russia for events, that's their problem. I don't count on if there's a particular event here, whether Russia is there in the first hours or not. No, I don't count on that.
The only support that Russia can provide when I'm going to pay for something to defend myself is that they agree to sell it to me. That's all.
We don't ask allies to come fight and die for you. Why? Aren't you human?
Yeah, but if you react like that, it's as if you are putting yourself as a second-class human. That is to say, you are not humans on the same level as others. But that's the mistake many people make by wanting... There you go. Even. How many heads of state have their security ensured by other nationalities?
It's not serious. Secondly, how many heads of state, when it's their own men providing security, send them to train elsewhere? It means that we lack the intelligence to develop something.
If you send your security to train elsewhere, it means those people know your procedure.
They control everything around you. So you have done nothing, actually. You are sitting, believing you are dressed, but you are naked. So there are many things. I can't detail everything here. There are so many things that Africans need to consider and that some others also need to consider. Listen, we like to say, from the village, when someone washes your back, hurry to wash your face too. So if there are strategic alliances that allow you to support certain spheres, the rest you need to develop yourself. It's like the military industry. We are here in Africa. We are sitting. I say yes, we urgently bought equipment to continue our threat and wage our war. But do you think we will continue like this? In any case, not Burkina.
Because our mentality is different. Second,
we see we are going to produce military equipment for us, and if people want it, we will sell it to them. Because I am convinced, of course, we are not, we have brains too, we think, we are not stupid. But if you behave in a certain way, you are the one showing others that you are foolish. You produce nothing and don't even intend to produce anything. You develop nothing, whether tactically or technically. You always rely on others, but you are not human. Do not rely on others. Rely on yourself first. And that, on an individual level in Burkina, each Burkinabe must rely on themselves first. And the revolution is this mentality. You see, before everyone would say, it's the state, it's the state.
We are in the process of changing things. You must rely on yourself first before calling on the state.
And so, up to the state level, it's like that. So that's what I can say. So there is no fear. We have a system that we have developed, that we are perfecting gradually. But no one comes to show us something, to teach us something. As long as God has given us a brain, we use our brain to think.
Excellent. The visit of Nick Chaka from the U.S. State Department to Ouagadougou signifies a rapprochement with the West.
Oh, yes, I did. I followed. They asked to come and exchange with us. I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs exchanged with them, and then also a bit in the countries of the... In fact, people need to understand something.
We are not opposed to anyone. We are not against someone, but we are against those who do not respect us and who do not want to accept our sovereignty, our independence. If even today, France
France is not our enemy. As I said, the French leaders have a policy. Otherwise, how many French people support us? How many French people, even in the media they talk about, are paid for the truth? No. How many, influencers or whatever, French people make videos, those who are on social networks, those who make videos there to support us. There are many.
They are very numerous. I greet them in passing. We don't even know them. They see our struggle. Anyone who wants to cooperate with us, there is no problem. But when you come, if you come and want to show us that you are superior to us, it's over. You leave. But if you understand and you come to treat as equals, man to man, there is no problem. We can talk business.
Everyone does business in the world. But imagine you come. Okay, I want your gold. We will give you 10%. We take the rest. In Burkina, that no longer works. If you come, we discuss. What do you bring?
Okay, the resource belongs to us 100%. But depending on what you bring, we can evaluate and then say, well, we give you 40% or 45% or at most 50%. And we leave it at that. And that's a discussion. But if you don't want to, you come with the mindset that, well, they are Negroes, we'll take what we want. It doesn't work. So as anyone who wants to work, wants to do business in Burkina, you come with a clear mind. We will do it. Even if tomorrow French entrepreneurs think they can invest in Burkina, they just have to come. But if they come with a master mentality, come to deal with slaves, we will kick them out, and that's it. But if you come and want to deal intelligently, without ulterior motives, we discuss. The contract is clear. If you deviate from the contract, we tell you to go home. It is the respect for our sovereignty, for our independence. That is very important.
Why do you think young people like you so much?
Why do I think young people like me so much? That's what I don't know. I can't judge that. If young people like me, it might be due to the ideology we develop. You take the health aspect. We are equipping our hospitals with all possible technologies. The costs of care have drastically decreased. Will the young people like it or not? The prices of medications have decreased. It has nothing to do with the solution, even in Europe.
You take the Edom on the field of infrastructure, as we are building our roads ourselves tomorrow. Also, young people are getting jobs because the Fason Mewe agency employs thousands of young Burkinabe. Do young people like it or not? Or all countries can do the same. In the field of agriculture, we have provided the means. We have paid for thousands of tractors that cultivate the fields of many farmers for free.
And when it comes to large fields, it is subsidized. Do all countries want to see this or not?
We produced, this year we achieved a record production. Since Burkina has existed, we have never produced like this.
But is it positive or not? Everyone will at their fill. Purchasing power is increasing. We are creating industries to process our raw materials. Do the young people like it or not? The young people will be employed to operate the factory, but also in mechanics and all that. So we take the field of transport and everything, even urban transport. We saw that we were very far behind. We decided for a phase to pay for at least 500 buses that will transport people. That means many people who couldn't get around will be able to move. And that creates jobs. Schools, the children and everything. The children often don't even have a school. Today we have taken models and we are building well-made level buildings with well-reduced class sizes. And otherwise, you go into rooms with 100 and something, 200 and something. Can he teach? Can he really work? The teacher himself suffers inside. We are in the process of readjusting everything to reduce class sizes, create standard compliant classrooms and all, providing all the necessary tools. Is it good or not good? That's what we do. It is the well-being of our population. And everywhere in Burkina, the health centers, we have put a project in place. We have already built nearly 40, and each year it will continue. And in these health centers, there will be doctors assigned so that if someone has appendicitis or a fracture or something, they can be operated on there.
And you have to send them to the city for surgery. I travel around my country, I see. I have been to villages, to provincial capitals, hundreds of kilometers from Ouagadougou, where when a woman is pregnant, it takes 9 months. Every time she needs an ultrasound exam, she has to be taken to Ouagadougou.
I am against that. So I am setting up ultrasound machines there. We are improving the facilities. Is it good or not?
We recruited the doctors. It's the first time, but by the way, it's in Africa.
You know, 1,000 times 5. We made a program of 1,000 times 5 specialists to assign them everywhere. So that care is closer to the people. Is it good or not? Are you helping me talk about that? Everything I mentioned, there is so much. But no, they don't talk about that. They take our card in red.
Our country has disappeared. Nothing is going well here at all.
You now understand why I say there is freedom here, there is everything here, but they don't want that. Like this we thrive. It's not good. They don't want that. So they have to tarnish our image. Otherwise you can walk around. Everything I say is verifiable.
There you go. And that's what the youth wants to see. And that's what we are doing.
Commander President, certainly if you are adored by the youth, it is because you embody for a large part of this African youth, a hope for dignity, for awakening. However, hope can also lead to immense impatience. So, what message of truth do you have for these young people watching you from Bobo, Ziare, Kaya, Lomé, Bamako, Dakar, or Abidjan, who are waiting for Africa of your generation to finally be one of results, Commander President?
I cannot claim, in fact, that my ideology, if I may say, will suddenly spread across Africa. It's up to the people to take responsibility everywhere. And I say it, and to demand certain things from their leaders. There are leaders who are compromised. They call us and often say, you are on the right path, but we can't do like you. Because, well, it's difficult. Some have their wealth in Europe, over there in banks and all. If they mess around, everything gets blocked, ill-gotten gains.
Me, I had that removed. I had many conditions removed. There was a minister who said, no, we must be careful. What is it? What can I say? It's up to us to do everything so that the young person is upright and does what he must do.
But if you talk about experience, did you have ministerial experience before I appointed you as a minister? And people laughed, but let's stop with that. Let's also trust the young people. Give them, that is the chance to express themselves. And that's important. If we wake up and have confidence in ourselves and are given the space, I think Africa can succeed. Otherwise, we shouldn't flatter ourselves. Everything we do, in fact, we will create our little Eldorados. That is to say, a few countries will develop, but the large majority will go nowhere. We will continue to die in the ocean. There you have it. Because Burkina alone, if I take the case of Burkina, if we alone start to develop, why are we advocating for everyone? We cannot accommodate the entire African population that wants to work. It's impossible.
But if we don't do it together, how do we do it?
So everyone has an interest in waking up. And I think a better future is possible. Africa has all the potential. Everything, yeah. There is no explanation for there being plenty of oil in Niger, Mali, or wherever, and that they do not develop soon, like those Gulf countries that also have oil. There is no explanation. There is no explanation for having gold here and certain products, and that we cannot develop like some countries in Europe that have only those resources. There is no explanation. It's governance. And the youth have their say without manipulation, with respect and stuff. They must be able to do it. If necessary, a revolution is needed. It's clear and simple.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we are at the end of this interview. The first to have gathered here at the Kuluba Palace with Burkinabe African and Western media. So at the Kuluba Palace, as I was saying, thank you again for this openness to the press and for all the answers provided to my colleagues' concerns. Dear colleagues, thank you also for your interest.
Dear viewers, thank you.